Yeah. So let us continue our discussion on signal and graph terminology. Okay. So yeah, yeah. So basically, let us study more technically about on signal. Okay. A signal, oops, ito. A signal is a description of how one parameter is related to one parameter or to the other parameter. For example, the the most common type of signal in analog electronics is voltage, the y-axis, in relation to time or with respect to time. Okay? O dito, voltage that varies with time. So every time na may impulse, tinatawag, using the analog voltage, over time, magkakaroon siya ng wave na meron siyang uh, particular frequency na napoproduce with respect to time and using the voltage. Okay? Also, it is a function of an independent variable such as time, distance, position, temperature. So later on, we will discuss its what tamang term doon? The function of time with respect to time, or in this kind of example, oscillating sine wave, the amplitude with respect to time. So meron diyang formula, time is equal to 1 over the frequency. So A is amplitude, F is frequency, and T is the period or time. Anyway, capital T is for period, small t is for time. Okay. So uh, in a sine wave, every portion of that has value. Anyway, let us study it later on. So again, signal is a description of how one parameter is related to one another, to another parameter. So for this example, again, voltage related to time, okay? And also a function of an independent variable such as time, distance, position, and temperature. Okay? I have here my notes in case. So next is, ano ba ang characteristic or technical description ng signal? Ano ba mga parts ng signal? Okay? Meron dito, kung naalala nyo pa yung Cartesian plane, yung x and y, it is the same thing that we will use here sa signal. Okay? You have the y-axis, in this example, A, amplitude, the x-axis, the time, and the rest is the crest, the trough, and wavelength, and the hertz. Okay? So, the, ang tawag dito? The unit for time is hertz. Okay? Anyway, let us focus on this slide muna. Okay? Amplitude A, amplitude A is the peak of deviation of the function from zero. So ito, amplitude from function zero. Okay? Amplitude. Wavelength, represented by gamma or lambda, I think. The wavelength of a sine wave can be measured between any 2 points with the same phase, such as between crest. So this is a wavelength. Okay? From between crest on top, yeah, crest, and trough on the bottom. Yeah, it's a wavelength. Okay, so that's wavelength measured between 2 points with the same phase, such as between crests on top and troughs on the bottom. Okay, frequency. Okay, f wala f yan. Anyway, frequency f, the number of oscillations or cycles that occur each second of time. Yeah, it is measured in hertz, which is equal to one event or one cycle. So, yeah, frequency. number of oscillations or cycles occur in 1 second. So makikita nyo dito, 1 second is 1 second from A, B, C, D, E. 1 second is equal to 1 hertz. You know. Again, frequency is measured in hertz, which is equal to 1, which is equal to 1 second, 1 event per second. Okay. Period T or time for cyclical phenomena such as oscillation waves or, for example, for simple harmonic motion, the term frequency is defined as the number of vibrations per unit time. Okay? Number of vibrations per unit time. And cycle, a continuous sine wave, okay, composed of several repeating parts called cycles. Point A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, E comprise one complete cycle. Have a maximum value above and a maximum value below the reference line of the function of time. Okay? So sabi dito, points A, B, C, D, E is complete cycle. You cannot say na complete cycle A, B, C lang. Kasi, ang meron palang maximum value is yung B. Itong A, B, C. Paano kung saka pa lang siya maging one complete cycle or one complete cycle kung meron na siyang maximum value sa baba. And na-meet niya na rin yung reference value. So in this example, A, B, C, D is one complete cycle. For example, 1 second yung time niya, travel niya sa reference ng time. Pero ka ng 1 hertz dyan. One complete cycle yan. A, B, C, D. Kung itong from point E, punta ka dyan sa taas, F, for example, F, G, H, I. So that's 2 cycles now, 2 hertz. Okay? Pwedeng dyan. Anyway. So that's part of the a wavelength. A wavelength, yeah. Graph terminologies of and signal. Anyway. So let us continue on analog and digital signals. Okay. So we have continuous signals. Convert mo siya into discrete signals. From discrete signals, papuntang digital signals. So let us define each signals. Okay. Continuous signals, as represented by this picture, are signals that can take any value at any point in time, and are often represented by smooth, unbroken lines. They are like flowing river where the water moves continuously without stopping. These signals are usually associated with analog systems. Okay. So continuous signals, zoom ko ha. Zoom ko dito. Sabi, continuous signals are signals that can take any value at any point in time. So kung kukuha ka dyan ng isang point D, hindi ko na lang i-zoom, wala akong ano eh. Anyway, any point dyan sa signal na yan, any point dyan ay merong value. Okay? So that's continuous time signal. It's not broken, and anywhere, kahit saan ka dyan kumuha or tumingin, no, there's a value. No? May mga value yan. Okay? That's continuous time signal. For example, the temperature throughout the day is a continuous signal. It changes smoothly over time and can take any value within a range. Yeah, for example, every microseconds, nagbabago yung temperature. So from time to time, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., yung temperature ng katawan, temperature inside the room, temperature inside any area is continuously changing. At any time, at any point in time, there's a value. Okay? So that's continuous time signal. Let us now continue naman doon sa discrete signal. When we say discrete signal, kakaroon na ng sampling yan. Okay? Kuha ka ng specific value, specific time. So, kakaroon ka ng sampling. Okay? Anyway, discrete signal naman are signals that are only take specific values at a certain points in time. They are like series of snapshots taken at regular intervals. So these signals are usually associated with digital systems. Yeah. For example, the number of students present in a classroom at the end of each hour is a discrete signal. It can only be counted in whole numbers and is recorded at specific times. Yeah. So when it comes to discrete signals, uh, kukuha ka na ng samples doon sa continuous time signal. So, pag nakakuha ka ng sample doon sa time signal, continuous time signal, you have here a specific value at a certain point in time. So, kung makikita ninyo, through sampling, kumuha, for example, kumuha ako ng samples from this signal, continuous signal, and nagkaroon na to ng mga value. From this point up to this point, may value yan. This point, yan, 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 yan. May mga values na yan. At a given time, given point, yan. May mga values na yan. Why? Kasi nakapag-sampling ka na dyan. No? Mamaya, magpag-aaralan natin kung paano yung sampling. Anyway, that's discrete signal. Okay? There is a specific value at certain point in time. Example naman dito, ito, classroom area, classroom setup. No? From 6 to 5, halimbawa 5 to 6, that's your time interval, 5 to 6, meron kang 12 students. Then, after ng 5 to 6, 6 to 7, meron kang 5. So that's discrete. Specific time, 5 to 6, meron kang number of ganito, may value ka. Okay? So you have value with respect to time. 10 students during 5 to 6. So that's discrete signal. That's the very best example that I can give you. Okay? Para hindi tayo medyo technical. So again, continuous signals are smooth and can be measured at any point in time. While discrete signals are measured at specific intervals and have distinct values. Okay. So let us now proceed with digital signal naman. Ano naman tong digital signal? Okay? So digital signal is a type of signal that represents data as a series of discrete values. Okay? Typically, you are using binary codes here, zeros and ones. Okay? Digital signals have specific values at specific intervals. This makes them easier to store, process, and transmit without losing quality. Okay? Example, think of a digital signal like a light switch that can only be on or off when you send a message from one computer to another. The information is broken down into a series of zeros and ones, often on states, which are then transmitted and reconstructed into the original message on the other side. This is how data is sent over the internet, stored on devices, and is processed by computers. Okay, so after you get the samples of the analog signal, you can now quantify these signals and convert it into digital formats of digital signals. No? When converting digital signals from discrete signal, no, you are typically converting these values into binary codes. Okay? These binary codes are zeros and one. Alam ko naman na to, alam nyo naman na to eh. First year pa lang kayo, alam nyo na yung digital signal is only ones and zeros. No? Yeah. So making them easier to store, process, and transmit without losing quality. So in this example, these are ons and off. As you can see, these digital signals represents ones and zeros or on and offs. Yeah. So each point each point here in this diagram has a specific value at specific time. Okay, have a specific and fixed values, specific intervals. Okay, yung point na yan, point na yan, point yan. So
in the function of time with respect to time, here are, or here is the value for each digital signal. 1, 1, 0, 1, ganyan. Yan, okay? So that's digital signals. Okay? I don't know kung nakikita niyo itong cursor ko. But anyway, yeah. Again, digital signals, like yung mga points na yan, have a specific fixed values at specific intervals. Ayan, may mga points na yan. On the other hand, yung discrete naman, meron din siyang area. Ayan. Ano? Area tuloy. Specific signals, specific values. They are the same, however, ito kasing digital signal, you are converting it into binary code, ones and zeros. Okay? So that's analog and digital signals. So if you want to know my reference here, nasa course syllabus lang din naman natin ginamit ko. Okay? No? These ones and zeros are transmitted and reconstructed into the original message on the other side of of the computer. Is how data is sent over the internet, stored on devices processed by computers. Yeah. So to further understand the scientific, the technology about it, and the scientific base about it, let us watch a video. So I have here this link, but I can play yung video 1.
All right, so in this set of videos, we're going to work through this list of signal properties. The first property that we're going to talk about is continuous time and discrete time signals. So what is a continuous time signal? What is a discrete time signal in terms of their core definitions? A continuous time signal is a signal that is specified for all points in time. So when we talk about continuous time signals, we usually plot them versus time, where we label that axis t, so little t. And no matter where we pick on that axis, the signal has a value. Discrete time signals, on the other hand, are discrete time signals that only exist or are defined at discrete points in time. So whereas for a continuous time signal, you can pick any real valued number, a whole continuum of values, an infinite number of values, an uncountably infinite number of values, and that signal will be defined. A discrete time signal is only going to exist at either a finite number of points in time or a countably infinite number of points in time. Let's draw some little cartoons to get a better feel for what we mean by this. So first of all, a CT signal, a continuous time signal, we always plot versus continuous variable t. And here's just kind of a little cartoon sketch of what a continuous time signal might look like. So I've drawn the continuous time signal x of t. No matter where I pick on the time axis, so if I pick this point, then my signal has this value, it's defined. Or if I pick this point in time on the time axis, then my signal has this value, it's defined. So no matter where I pick on the horizontal axis t, I can always find a value of the signal, and my signal is defined because it is a continuous time signal. What about discrete time signals? What do they look like? So first of all, when we plot discrete time signals, we plot it versus a discrete time variable. I almost always use the variable k to indicate discrete time, so that's why I've plotted the discrete time signal x of k. But other books and other people use different variables. Sometimes people use m, sometimes people use n or l. There's lots of different variables that you can use to indicate discrete time. I'm going to choose k for this plot. When I plot this signal versus discrete time, the values on the time axis take on discrete values 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, -2, -3, etc. So let's see what a discrete time signal looks like. First of all, when we plot a discrete time signal, we use these lines with dots at the top that we call stems to make the plots. And notice that the discrete time signal x of k only exists, or only has a stem at these discrete points in time. So there's a stem at time 0, and there's a stem at time 1, and a stem at time 2, etc. The height of the stem indicates the value of the signal at that point in time, just like it did for the continuous time signal x of t. So for instance, at time k equals 3, the signal x of k has a negative value, whereas at the time k equals 4, the discrete time signal x of k has a positive value. So this is what a discrete time signal looks like and how we plot it. Finally, let's talk just a little bit about some more of the notation that relates continuous time signals and discrete time signals. Often when we go to a discrete time signal, we've come from a continuous time signal through a process called sampling, and we're going to get into sampling later in the course for sure. The frequency with which we sample, there's two ways to talk about it. One is in terms of units of time t. So how often do I grab a sample? So t might be seconds or 0.4 seconds or 0.1 seconds, how often in time. The other way to think about it is in terms of a rate, how many samples per second, and that's what we note by f sub s. So f sub s might be 10, meaning 10 samples per second, or 50 samples per second, something like that. These quantities t, the sampling period, and fs, the sampling rate, are related via the equation t equals 1 over fs. So that's one thing to kind of keep in mind. Another thing to know about discrete time signals is really they're just a list of numbers. We can just write down a discrete time signal often when they are finite in length because there's only a finite number of values that we need to write down. Another word that people use for discrete time signals is a time series. I don't use that word too often, but some authors use that word. Also, just the notation of continuous time signals and discrete time signals tells us what type of signal they are. We always use parentheses for continuous time signals, x of t, and we always use these brackets for discrete time signals. So when I wrote down the discrete time signal in the previous plot, I used x of k, and that right away told you it was going to be a discrete time signal. Finally, let's talk about how on kind of pen and paper we can go from continuous time to discrete time and back again. So just with a little example here, let's say I have a continuous time signal f of t, which is equal to e to the minus t. So this, as time gets large, is a decaying signal. And let's say I want to turn it into a discrete time signal by sampling it every 0.1 units of time. Well, the way I can do that is by simply replacing the continuous time variable t with the quantity kt, where t is capital T right here, right? So what that does is it replaces the continuous time variable t with increments of discrete time capital T, because k always takes on integer values. So if I do that, if I actually replace this t with kt, I end up with this signal right here. And for this particular example, I'm assuming that the sampling period, capital T, is 0.1. So I end up with this signal right here after I've done that algebraic substitution, e to the minus 0.1 k. I now have a quantity that's only a function of time k, so I've actually created the discrete time signal f of k. And my discrete time signal f of k is this signal right here. When I plot this discrete time signal f of k, I would plot it versus k. K equals minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. But note, really behind the scenes, the t and the k are kind of linked to each other via the equation little t equals kt. So even though I'm plotting k equals 0, k equals 1, k equals 2, I can almost think about that as time t equals 0, t equals 0.1, t equals 0.2. I'm sampling in increments of time, capital T equals 0.1. All right, well, that is it for now. We have discussed one of our first signal properties, the differences between continuous time signals and discrete time signals. In the subsequent videos, we'll keep working through that list.
Yeah. So that's, again, continuous time and discrete time signals. Okay? So let us now continue our study on frequency. Okay? So frequency, ito na, no? Kanina, mababasa ninyo, we have here an independent variable time at the same time in a function of time or any dependent variables. Okay? Okay, ito nakabagta dito. So the vertical axis
the Y, vertical, no? May represent voltage. No? Sa nakita nyo kanina example natin, it is commonly represented as Y, or voltage pala should I say. No? Light intensity, sound pressure, and an infinite number of other parameters. No? Since we don't know what it represents in this particular case, we will give it the generic label amplitude. So kung nakita nyo kanina sa isang slide natin, A, amplitude, ang nakalagay amplitude. No? The parameter is also called several other names as the y-axis. Okay, excuse me. So the dependent variable, on the other hand, is the range and the ordinate. No? The horizontal axis, this one, represents the other parameter, no, of the signal, such by names as the x-axis or the independent variable, or the domain, no, and the abscissa. Time is the most common parameter here that appears on the horizontal axis. No? However, other parameters are used in specific applications. So for this particular subject, signals and sensors. So amplitude will our independent variable, or the x-axis, or the this one, to, horizontal x-axis, will be time, no? T. And it's our dependent variable. Okay. And on the y-axis, it's currently depending on our usage. It is amplitude or voltage or uh, any parameters that we can use. Okay. But for this particular example, no, ang ginawa ko rito, where we are using the function of time with respect to time. Okay. Again, the x-axis is our independent variable and the y-axis our dependent variable. Okay. Time is the most common parameter here. So t, time. So on the other hand, pag wala tayo dito, it's generic, so amplitude. Okay. Excuse me. In DSP, pay particular attention to the word domain. No? It is very widely used here. So for instance, a signal that uses time as an independent variable, ito, is the time domain, x-axis, or the time domain. Independent variable time domain x-axis. On the other hand, independent variable is used as frequency domain, function of t, okay, y-axis, or the frequency domain. Okay. So let us now continue on amplitude modulation. Okay. So later, meron tayong mas simplified presentation sa AM modulation, but siyempre kailangan natin technically understand ano ba to. Okay. Amplitude modulation, okay, is a technique used to transmit information via radio waves by varying the amplitude of the carrier, okay, in proportion to the information signal being sent, while the frequency of the carrier have remained constant. Okay. So we have here the sample of amplitude modulation. Here is the carrier signal. Commonly, basically, carrier signal has higher frequency. Carrier signal yan. Dikit na yan, higher frequency yan. And while the other one is the voice signal, for example, meron siyang lower frequency. Enveloped, ayan, envelope. Kumbaga kasi, pag makita nyo yan, yung frequency AM modulation na yan, para siyang nag-mirror, naka-envelope yan, pag nag-transmit ng data, nag-transmit ng signal. Okay? So this frequency, the voice and the carrier signal is being contained or enveloped in this kind of situation of presentation, then being transmitted over time. Okay. So how it works? This carrier signal is a high frequency signal that is used to carry in the information. It has constant amplitude and frequency. So this is the carrier signal. And the modulating signal
contains the information you want to transmit as voice or music signal. Ito yan. The modulated signal, hmm, naman, carrier signal's amplitude is varied in line with the information signal, creating new signal that can be transmitted over long distances. So these are now what you call modulated signal na. Itong carrier signal and itong voice signal, or in this case, information signal, is now being enveloped and being modulated and transmitted over time, over long distances. Okay? So that's a AM, amplitude modulation, okay, across with respect to time domain. Okay? So medyo naguguluhan na tayo, no? Anyway, example. Imagine you want to send your voice over a long distance using a radio transmitter. Here's how it works. Let's say the carrier signal is a high frequency sine wave with a constant amplitude. Ito yung example natin, constant amplitude. Okay? Your voice is the information signal, which varies in amplitude as you speak, the way I speak. Okay? Then the amplitude of the carrier signal is adjusted. I-adjust yan eh. Yung AM to, yung AM. Amplitude modulation. is adjusted. I-envelope niya yung signal. I-adjust niya according to the amplitude of your voice signal. When your voice is louder, the amplitude of the carrier signal increases. When your voice is softer, the amplitude decreases. Kung high pitch ka, plus yan, amplitude will go up, will increase. When you have softer voice, it will decrease. Okay, that's the idea how it's work, how it works. AM modulation.